From Cosmo. America's more divided than ever, but how is it affecting our love lives? I spent a year dating conservative men to find out. Now, the funny thing is, the article originally said alt-right. There's no question that we're living in and looking for love in contentious times where extreme political ideologies have all but divided parts of the dating pool, or have they? And then you have this, clearly, the art they use is a woman with wine and a MAGA guy in red with the beer.
Well, he's drinking a beer, Tim, of course.
Oh, sure. Take a look at this from Axios on HBO. This is from 2019, mind you, so it's been 6 years. 55% of women prefer socialism.
Surprised it wasn't higher even in 2019.
You know, we can talk all about Israel all day and every day, but let's get to what people actually care about, getting laid. So for young men right now, we are seeing a massive increase in virginity. 30-year-old men, a third, have never had a relationship. Some have never even dated. And interestingly, one poll from a few years ago showed that men under 30, I think like 10%, hadn't even spoken to a woman in a year or something like that. Some have never even approached a woman in public. And so then you get articles like this from Cosmo, which literally is a woman writing for Cosmo about how she decided to date conservative men. Now, millennial men lean conservative. 55%, according to Pew Research. Liberal women, millennial women are 70% Democrat. How is this going to manifest? Right. So right now, I can tell you exactly how it is manifesting. For the sake of privacy, I will not reveal the identity of my friend. But someone was telling me recently they're in a dating app and it was going great. And then the woman asked, real quick, what do you think of Trump? And he gave a kind of, I don't know, whatever, I guess. And she lost her mind and said, F you. This is a fascist state. We got to resist. Go to hell. Unmatch. Out of here.
Best thing that ever happened to him.
But what happens when that 70% of women your age is a young man? What's going to happen? Fertility rate's already down at like 1.3. What happens to this country when the women are overwhelmingly socialist and communist and leftist, and the young men are overwhelmingly meritocratic and right wing?
Well, I think at that point I would have to invest in litter boxes and cat food.
The guys too.
Yeah, I'm not saying. I mean, you start a business because you're gonna profit in the long run. Because that's just like more cats and more litter.
And they talk.
I see what you're saying. I make a joke about that, but those are bad trend lines.
I imagine that's one of the many reasons why people say that there's a certain amount of nihilism within Gen Z on top of the economy and all of the ways in which they feel that kind of society pulled their future out from under them. And then you taking that into account. It's okay. Like, you can put up with a bad economy. You can put up with mediocre job prospects if you're in a loving and caring relationship and you have something to go home to. If you have nothing to go home to, you don't have a career to aspire to, you don't have a future where you see yourself retiring. It's like the whole thing that was going on with tariffs, and millennials and Gen Z were laughing at the boomers saying like, we weren't in the stock market anyway. None of it mattered. You compound all of those things on top of each other. And there's no doubt in my mind that the nihilism that Gen Z felt is going to carry onwards into Gen Alpha unless something changes drastically.
Especially considering the promise of socialism, of a world where everybody has superabundance, because they don't think of communism as, what communism has been in the past.
They don't think of it as deprivation.
If you listen to people, they say, I want fully automated luxury gay space communism, right? That's what they're thinking about. They're thinking we've reached a point, and they see robots and they see AI and they think we've reached a point where we're going to cross over into superabundance, and everybody's going to have robots, and everybody's going to have everything they want, and everything's going to be free. There's not going to be any need for work, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what they're thinking of when they say communism. They're not thinking of Soviet
They're thinking
Union.
of utopia.
Well, that's exactly what communism is. But they're thinking of superabundance and a governmental system where everything is given to you. Whatever you want to do, you can go ahead and do for free. And so, like, if that's what they're hoping for, it's going to be hard to convince them that that's not going to materialize, because there's going to be a lot of people that do have what looks like that on the internet, you know?
Oh, yeah.
On Instagram.
Are you saying that people on the internet will misrepresent their material success?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's been
You're right.
known to happen.
There's a whole bunch of bad examples out there.
Also, it's fair to point out that as marriage rates plummet and as birth rates plummet, what's happening is a lot of the female intuition and desire for kids and to mother has been sublimated into politics, where they want to nanny the whole world around them and just they want to do it through governmental force, which is a unique trend to the time.
Well, I think that one thing that can fight back against that is the extent that we can improve the economic lot of the people living in the United States. And so we see a lot of pro-family policies coming back. But yeah, I think if we're successful in reordering the economy in the United States so that actual production jobs are reshored to America instead of staying abroad, we're going to increase the amount of income and the amount of upward mobility that people have in this country. And that's going to be a net positive for the raising of families. That has to happen. That's got to be part of it.
So one of the things that we've talked about around this table is that the jobs that have been offshored, they're not going to come back
in the same way.
Correct. And I don't know that the reshoring of job or the reinvigoration of American manufacturing is going to be something that is labor intensive the way that it used to be, because the robots and the automation that exists now.
But that's why this is the perfect time for this movement, because there's going to be a paradigm shift in assembly and in manufacture. And if you allow the capital to be invested to construct these new facilities overseas that take advantage of robotics and AI in the production process, if you allow those factories to be established overseas, that's going to be sunk costs and harder to get away from. So shift the paradigm now to get those new facilities built in America. And yeah, are we going to need as many machinists per capita as we needed in 1950? No. But we're going to need jobs to maintain. The jobs will be different, but they may not be the same amount. But it's important to get those new factories built in America. Yeah. And that's why President Trump is putting it. If you remember from the campaign trail, he's talking about 15% corporate taxes on goods made in America. And that's the key thing. And that's the carrot that he's trying to get them back.
I'm with you on the need to manufacture necessities in the United States. So we should be making our own pharmaceuticals. We should be making our own semiconductors. We should be making our own steel. We should make sure that we have our own battery manufacturers, which Musk is doing a lot of that. But we should make sure that we have the manufacturing capability inside the United States to provide for the United States. Everything else, it's no problem to buy from other places. It's no problem to buy surpluses from outside of the U.S. But the U.S., for national security reasons, this is not about, honestly, this isn't about the job market, in my opinion. For national security reasons, we should be able to provide the things that the United States needs in the United States. Everybody knows what happened when COVID hit. We were going to China for stuff, and China was like, we're not selling it, we need it. And that kind of thing can cause a massive problem for the country. We should be able to produce the things that we need inside the U.S. as much as we can. And then for surplus stuff outside, like, go ahead. No problem. I'm totally fine with trade. It's not like I'm like, oh, we should not trade with anyone. But we should have the industrial base to manufacture the things the United States needs inside the United States.
I feel like healthcare and homes are also a big part of it for Gen Z. Not even that, millennials as well. Like, I was talking to a friend last weekend who, you know, he listens to the show and he's very intelligent dude. He said, look, I can't have kids. Like, I can barely afford to live. Like, there is a certain level of desperation. And when every time you drive a car and you're worried that you break your leg, you're never going to be able to pay off the medical bills. Like, there are things where it's hard to start a family if you're young, when everything feels like you're on the knife's edge of financial ruin on basic issues. Now, I don't know what the fix for that is, whether it's deregulation prior to Obamacare. I don't know how to fix those things, but I do know that I think that those are the issues more than anything. Healthcare, owning a home, are the ones that are actually holding back future generations, maybe even more than what we're talking about with jobs.
Healthcare is one of the things. Yeah, I mean, look,
If you can't own a
the
home,
the United States innovates in the healthcare field more than any other country. So
we could always pivot to what other countries are doing. I mean, there are countries in Europe that are actually giving tax breaks for a certain amount of children, to the point where if you have like a certain amount, they say no more taxes that you have to pay, because they know that that incentive is going to create more taxpayers down the road. So if we incentivize larger families, that could be a benefit.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.